What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. It's time to continue our 2023 schedule preview and projected records for the 2023 college football season. And we continue them with the Texas A&M Aggies. There was a schedule last year for the Texas A&M Aggies. The overall record for this team going 5-7 last year. So yeah, they were one of the most disappointing teams from 2022. Obviously, it wasn't their year. They had a young team from last year. Of course, the quarterback situation was pretty tough for them last year as well. You look at who they played in the non-conference. They played Sam Houston, Appalachian State, and Miami. And also they played UMass in the non-conference. Miami ended up being a win for them. Then they lost that one game to Appalachian State. And I think it was right after that one that we knew Texas A&M was not going to be a top 10 team and also a top 25 team for the rest of the year. But you look at the schedule here, they lost really tough games to Alabama on the road. They lost to South Carolina on the road. They also lost to Auburn on the road. That's a game they probably could have won because Auburn turned out not to be as good as we thought they would as well. And they also lost to Florida at home, so that's a game that they could have probably won as well. So this Texas A&M team probably could have won some games in late November, but the biggest win, I think, on this schedule was that LSU game on November the 26th. But they got a couple wins in the SEC, of course, against Arkansas and LSU. Those are the only two games that they won last year in the SEC. But they competed against Alabama pretty well, so Texas A&M probably going to be a better team than they were last year. They have a lot of production coming back, including those guys from last year. Let's now look ahead to 2023 for this team and look at the schedule. Here's the schedule for 2023 for the Texas A&M Aggies, and you see who they'll play in the non-conference. They'll play New Mexico here on September the 2nd, and then they'll play that game against Miami on the road. We just did Miami's schedule preview just about a couple days ago. You can go back and watch that video. This will be a road game here for Texas A&M. And then they'll play UL in Monroe on September the 16th. So they'll have three non-conference games to kick off the year, and then they'll play Albany Christian here on November the 18th. So the non-conference schedule, not all too tough as it was last year. Of course, they played Appalachian State. I know that's a game that probably they should have taken care of business in, but no, Appalachian State's a really good Sun Belt team and also a pretty good Group of 5 team. But again, the non-conference schedule not too tough for them. You look at who they play outside of the SEC West. They will play Tennessee on the road and South Carolina at home. So you get one of those East teams at home, that's South Carolina. Of course, they play South Carolina almost every year. And then obviously Tennessee on the road will be a tough one. First meeting between Tennessee and Texas A&M since 2020, but in the regular season since 2016. So it's been a while since Texas A&M and Tennessee have gone at it. So looking forward to that one on the road. Let's go game by game now here for this Texas A&M team. So they'll start the season off with New Mexico. Then they'll play Miami here on the road. Then they'll play UL Monroe. So they'll have three non-conference games to kick off the year. And then they'll kick off the SEC play with Auburn here on September the 23rd. What a matchup this will be. The good news is that Texas A&M will get this one at home, a game that that's really winnable. Obviously, Hugh Freeze coming in as the new head coach for Auburn. It's going to be a really good, interesting, maybe a high-scoring game. And then they'll play Arkansas here at Arlington, a game that's really played in Arlington every single year. Texas A&M beat Arkansas last year. We don't know what the roster is going to look like for Arkansas just yet. They do lose quite a bit of production from last year. We'll see how that team plays out. And then they'll play Alabama here at home. Alabama, a lot of question marks heading into this season. Bryce Young, Will Anderson gone. So a very winnable game here for Texas A&M. Of course, a couple years ago when they beat them at Kyle Field, obviously a big win there, but they did not end up winning, that win did not mean anything else because, they went 8-4 that year. So this will be an interesting of a test here for Texas A&M. Of course, they lost to them by 4 last year. Could they really get the revenge this time on this Alabama team? And then they'll play Tennessee after that on the road. So you got tough back-to-back games here with Alabama and Tennessee on the road. Tennessee will be an interesting matchup, though. I think this one will be a high-scoring game. And then they'll get a bye week after that game before playing South Carolina on October the 28th. And then they'll play Ole Miss here on the road. So you got really tough road games after that one. Ole Miss on the road, going to be a really tough, interesting test. This will probably be a high-scoring game perhaps, and then they'll play Mississippi State here on November the 11th. And then they'll play Albania Christian here on November the 18th, and then they'll end things out here on the road at LSU. A rival game, you never know what can happen. Obviously, Texas A&M beat them last year, so it's a revenge game here for LSU heading into November the 25th. So the schedule overall for Texas A&M, I think, really sets them up nicely to probably get to a bowl game this year. Of course, they weren't really good last year, but this is probably going to be a different Texas A&M team than it was a year ago. And they had the top returning production coming back in the 2023 offseason. All right, let's get to the projection now. This is the scale I pretty much use for my projections. If it's a 1% game, that's a game that Texas A&M has no chance of winning. 20% in the orange, games where Texas A&M is going to be about a couple touchdowns of an underdog. 40% games in the yellow, games where Texas A&M is going to be about a touchdown of an underdog. 50-50 games, these will stay pretty much in the white, games where Texas A&M is going to be, or actually games that can go either way for the A&M Aggies and have a really good shot to win in. 60% games in the purple, games where Texas A&M is going to be favored by about a touchdown. 80% in the blue, about a couple touchdowns, and then 90% games in the green. These are games where Texas A&M is going to be about more than 3 touchdowns of a favorite. And we always start with the green games. We're going to start with the green games here at 90% in the green for Texas A&M. And I got 3 of those on the schedule. I got New Mexico, UL Monroe, and Albany Christian. New Mexico, UL Monroe, and Albany Christian are not tough games at all. I think they should really take care of business in all 3 of these non-conference games. Appalachian State turned out to be a really tough loss there for Texas A&M, so I think, the non-conference schedule is not too bad for Texas A&M heading into this season, and they really should take care of business in all 3 of these games. I got them favored by more than 3 touchdowns in all 3 of these games. Now we go to the games in the blue. Do I have any games in the blue? But I don't have any games in the blue for Texas A&M just because of how the schedule sets up for them. But I do got 2 purple games on here in the 60%. These are the games where I think Texas A&M will be favored by about a touchdown. South Carolina and Mississippi State. South Carolina, obviously, one of the best finishing teams last year in the SEC, but I think, with home field advantage, I think Texas A&M is going to be at least favored by about a touchdown in this game. Plus, South Carolina does lose quite a bit of production from last year, but Spencer Rather coming back, so I think that's the huge news there for South Carolina. But this one will be a home game for Texas A&M. And then, obviously, Mississippi State. I probably could have put this one in the blue, but based off of where Texas A&M was last year, I have to put this one in the purple. So I think both of these games, Texas A&M will be favored by at least a touchdown in both of these games. All right, we go to the games now where Texas A&M is going to be an underdog in. Do I have any games on here in the red or the orange? I don't have any red or orange games, but I do have one yellow game, and that's on the road at Tennessee. I think they will be a 40% underdog heading into this game, and also a touchdown underdog. I'm not saying that Texas A&M doesn't have a chance to win this one. I think they do have a heavy chance to win it as an underdog. Tennessee is just obviously a tough place to play. Plus, Tennessee is going to have a new quarterback as well with Joe Milton coming in. So this game could be interesting. But as of right now, from where the teams were last year, I got to put Texas A&M here in the yellow against Tennessee on the road. And I think that's the only game that Texas A&M will be an underdog in this year. I think the rest of the games here on the schedule, Miami, Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama, Ole Miss, and LSU both on the road, I think these are all pretty much games where they can go either way. 50-50 games for Texas A&M that can really make them win these games somehow. Miami is a rematch from last year. They beat them last year at home, and this time it will be on the road. Auburn going to be a different team this year. Arkansas a little bit different. Alabama going to have a lot of, to replace on both sides of the ball, and then Ole Miss on the road. That's a game that I think that could be high scoring. I'd probably put that one in the yellow, but I'm going to stick with it and put it in the white. And then LSU, obviously a rival game. You never know what can happen. So I think all these games, Texas A&M has a really good shot to win them all. But, really some of these games, I don't really see them winning them all. But, we're going to get to the projection here now for Texas A&M. So if you look at this schedule, the games that they're favored in and also the games that they're underdogs in, including the Tennessee game and also the games that are 50-50 games, not simply a prediction. This is simply a projection based on the schedule. The overall projection for Texas A&M in 2023 comes out to be 7-5 for 2023 for Texas A&M. I think they do lose some of those road games there. Let's say if they lose all 4 of those road games, Let's say they lose 3 of those road games there to LSU, Ole Miss, and Miami. I mean, that could probably wind up their record at 7-5 if they lose to Arkansas at Arlington. That's a neutral site game, so obviously Texas A&M going to be a little bit different, here in the 50-50 games. But I think they have a really good shot to win some of these games on the road. I'm not saying they're going to win them all, but I think they do have a shot. But as of right now, the projected record for this team is 7-5. Best case scenario, I would probably put it at 8-4. And, worst case scenario would be probably 6-6. If they go 6-6, that's going to be kind of a more disappointing season. And maybe, Jimbo Fisher will probably be on the hot seat heading into next year as well. But that's my overall projected record for this Texas A&M team at 7-5. Let me guys know what you think about this Texas A&M team. What do you think their projected record will be? Down in the comments below. And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.